Hare Krishna, everyone. So, in our last class, we were discussing that there is no need of changing our designation. All it matters, all what matters is our intention. So, see, for connecting, for whatever we are doing, we should connect it to Lord. And for that, knowledge is needed. We discussed this thing. No, relative knowledge may teach us how to repair a machine, but real knowledge is knowing our position as being integral with Krishna. Being part of Him, our pleasure, which is partial, is dependent on the whole. For instance, my hand can take pleasure when it is attached to my body. Okay, before discussing this example, uh, let's just revise whatever we studied so far. We studied that for knowing this thing, that anything which we do, it purifies us when we connected it with Lord. And for knowing this, knowledge is must. Through knowledge only, we can be, conscious about this thing. Later, we discussed that summary of all the Vedas. What is the summary of all the Vedas? That we know our relation with God. This is the summary of all the Vedas. Whoever read Vedas and stuff, so conclusion is that one will be aware that he has to know about his relation with God. And once he will know this thing, he will work to invoke it. So how to invoke it? So see, for this also, we can't estimate things like guess, and estimation is something which is always wrong. Just for an example, uh, if we take a very basic example, so you will see if we even prepare any recipe with estimation. We are cooking something. For example, we are cooking certain recipe and we are putting ingredients with estimation. We are not putting it with proper measurement. We are putting it by just estimation. So what will happen? Your recipe will be, uh, it will not taste, your food will not taste good if you will put ingredients with estimation. You might put salt in large quantity, or you might put other things in small or large quantity, like that. Estimation works like that only. It's not perfect always. If we understand this with another example, so you will see there was a story. We discussed it, uh, like it's been too long since we discussed this. So what was there in that story? There were 5 people, and those people were blind. So now what happened was, there was an elephant, and as they were blind, they never saw an elephant, they just heard about him. So what they were doing, they were touching different body parts of that animal. So when one person was uh, touching, he was holding the tail of an elephant. So they were assuming that this elephant is like a broom. Or when they were holding his teeth, his long tooth, his large tooth. So they were assuming that this elephant is like a tool. It's like an instrument or something. When they were holding his, trunk. So they were assuming that this elephant is like snake. Or when they were touching his body, so they were assuming that this elephant is like a wall. So they were estimating it. But estimation really does not work. We call it 𝗲𝗵𝗵 ज्ञान in Hindi. So we might be assuming this as a small thing. What? That we are fragmental part of Lord. We might be assuming this as a very small thing. That yeah, if one have known this thing, if one is aware about this thing, that yeah, he is fragmental part of Lord Krishna and his only purpose is to serve Krishna, then what's the big thing in that? It's really not a big thing, because not everyone is able to accept this. See, Krishna sends so many people to me, and I try to preach this knowledge to each and everyone who I connect with. So right now also, Krishna is sending different people to me, and I try to tell them. I I tell them to hear recordings, to come in classes, chant Hare Krishna. So they are not able to digest this thing. That only one person, how can be only one person be supreme? So it is not that easy that someone is accepting this thing that Krishna is supreme and we are his part. Devotees, usually they daily chant, they hear classes. That's why they don't understand how fortunate they are, because this has become a normal and casual thing for them. Is it not? You all see, we chant every day, we consume Krishna prasadam, we hear classes. So this has become a normal routine for us, and that's why we are unable to appreciate our fortune. We do not, devotees do not appreciate their fortune, that they are getting chance to serve Lord. This is really a sarcasm, a very big thing, but we assume it very small and we neglect it like that. If Krishna is telling that if someone has accepted this thing, if Krishna if yeah, Krishna is telling that if someone has, he has become so much knowledgeable, that he is understanding the transcendental action and activities of Lord, so he will never come in this material world again. If one has digested all these things, so he will never come in this material world. So if someone is hearing this, so now if we talk about devotees only, so they will think, only just by accepting this we will not take birth in this material world. How's this, like, how can be it's that easy? It's not easy actually, because it's very much difficult for people to digest this thing. you know Krishna is telling himself all these things, but then also people don't digest this thing. So it's not that easy. So same way, whatever we are doing, it might seem small, but it is very important. Why? Because whatever we are doing, it when we connect it with Lord, whatever services we are doing in relation with Lord, it becomes eternal, and eternal is never small. It is infinite. For instance, my hand can take pleasure when it is attached to my body and serves it. It does not take pleasure in serving another's body. Now, this is very interesting example. You will see our hand can satisfy us until it's working for our own body. If, for instance, for example, someone will hold our hand, if you can see, yeah, if someone will hold our hand and feed himself with our hand, or he may clean something with our hand, he's holding our hand and he's doing all the services. So will it satisfy us? Will we get satisfied by this? Because it's not satisfying our own body. Like, I'm not saying that if we serve someone, then we don't get satisfied. We are not talking about this thing. We are talking that our own hand, when it works for our own body, then only it satisfies us. It does not get satisfied by serving others' body. I hope you are understanding my point, what I'm trying to tell you here. Just if we take another example, if our hand is joined with our body, so then only it is useful for us. But for example, this same hand is, cut it out from our body, it has been separated from our body, and it is it is it is far from us now. It has become useless because it has been separated from our body. It will not satisfy us, so it has become useless for us. So Prabhupada ji is explaining this with an example that if my hand can take pleasure when it is attached to my body and serve it does not take pleasure in serving another's body, because we are part of, same way, we are part of Krishna. Our pleasure is in serving him. I cannot be happy serving you. Everyone is thinking, I can only be happy serving myself. So if you will try to satisfy the senses of Lord Krishna through your senses, so you will definitely get satisfied. This is what Prabhupada ji is trying to tell here. Like from your tongue, if you are consuming the remnants of Lord Krishna, prasadam of Lord Krishna, you are singing Hare Krishna Kirtan. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. So when you are putting your senses to serve Lord, you will automatically get satisfied. When you will serve Lord Krishna's senses through your senses. Same way, with your eyes, you are glancing at the beautiful deity of Lord Krishna. From your ears, you are listening his pastimes, his glories, his kirtan, Hare Krishna mantra, Hare Krishna kirtan, or whatever other things. With your hands, you are cooking for Krishna. You're cleaning house of Krishna. When we have photograph of Krishna, deity of Krishna in our house, in our home, so it is home of Krishna only. Everything is of Krishna only, but once one become conscious, so he relishes it more. Is it not? So this is very amazing thing, that you don't have to do any extra thing. Just whatever you are doing, connected. But where is the mistake? Where is the mistake? I cannot be happy serving you. Everyone is thinking, I can only be happy serving myself. Yes. People are trying to satisfy their own senses, which will never happen. You will see from starting only, we are trying to satisfy our own senses. We want to eat that pleases us, but it never satisfies us. Or whatever unnecessary things people watch, they hear, they talk, it never satisfies them. Instead, more material covering is binding them. It feels a kind of emptiness. The more we serve our senses, the more emptiness we feel. But on the other hand, you see, when we make food for Krishna, we chant his name, we offer lamb to him, but different kind of, what to say, peace. We feel a kind of peacefulness, a calmness, because Krishna is satisfied by this. So this is what people are doing. They are busy in serving, in satisfying their senses. Unfortunately, not understanding that what can really satisfy them. So yeah, but no one knows who the self is. That self is Krishna. Wow. So everyone, they just say that me, my. They just talk about self. But they are not understanding, they are not knowing this thing that who the self is. So that self is Krishna. Means by serving Krishna only one can get satisfied. It's not like we are Krishna. It's not, Prabhupada is not saying that we are Krishna, we are God. No. Prabhupada is telling that everyone is assuming that if I will satisfy myself, then I will become happy. But it's not like that. If we will satisfy Lord Krishna, so by serving Krishna, one can get satisfied. Just if we understand this with an example, you will see just like a maid. She is working for her boss, for example. Whatever, in whatever house she go, she is working for her boss. But just think about this. If that maid is not satisfying her boss, doing something else, she's going in that house and she's just using her mobile phone, she's using YouTube, she's playing YouTube shorts, all the unnecessary things. She's not doing her duties. She's not serving that boss. She's not like whatever service she should do, she's not doing that. So what will happen? Will that boss be satisfied with him? Boss will not satisfied with him. He will just fire him. You just go. Get out from my house. You are of no use to me. Just go. But on the other hand, if she will satisfy her boss, she's cleaning her house, his house, that boss house. She's cooking food for him, etc., etc. If she will satisfy her boss, so her boss will be satisfied, and that boss will also give him incentives, a good salary for her service. Is it not? So she is also happy. So same way, Krishna is our ultimate boss. If we are not doing anything which is pleasing to Krishna, then it will not satisfy us, because that will not please Krishna. Is it not? So we can't be satisfied with that. So one should understand that self is Krishna. Now, here is a shloka. Let's try to recite it. मामेवांशो जीवलोके जीवा भूता सनातनः मानः शास्तिनन्त्रित दृष्ट्यानि प्रकृतिस्थानि कर्षितः. I will try to recite this once again. Let's see. मामेवांशो जीवलोके जीवभूतः सनातनः मनः षष्ठानि इन्द्रियाणि प्रकृति स्थानि कर्षति. मामेवांशो जीवलोके जीवभूतः सनातनः मनः षष्ठानि इन्द्रियाणि प्रकृति स्थानि कर्षति. I'm not that perfect, but yeah, I'm trying my best. Okay. The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. So we have always known about this. We are aware about this thing, that we have five senses. But here Krishna is telling that they are struggling very hard with the six senses. Six senses means five senses are there, which is smell, taste, hear, sight, and touch. Now, the sixth one is mind, the mind. So one more is mind. Another sense is mind. So Krishna is telling here that from eternal time, we are servant of Krishna. See, when we are saying servant here, so in material world, meaning of servant in material world is different from the meaning of servant in spiritual world. We have already discussed this point. You will see here in this material world, anyone who is serving his boss, he is known to be his servant because he is serving him. But suppose if that servant commits some mistake, unknowingly he committed some mistake, so will that boss love him? No, right? He will chastise him. He will chastise him like anything. Is it not? But now see, we have been committing mistakes from eternal time. We turned our face from Krishna. Krishna, we will not look at you. We will do whatever we want. We want to satisfy ourselves. We don't want to turn to you. We want to we want to live independently from you. Is it not? Is this not a big foolishness of a conditioned soul? That's why we are conditioned. We are fallen. Is it not? So from eternal time only we are servant of Krishna, and it's not like this. See, eternal means His Grace Radha Govind Maharaj was elaborating on this word. Eternal means anadi in Hindi language. And if we break this word anadi, so you will see an means time and adi means which has no beginning. So eternal time means which has no beginning. There was not a time, there was not any specific time on which it was got started. So eternal time means eternal, infinite. No beginning and no ending. That is what eternal time means. So it's not like that from any specific time we were servant of Lord Krishna, and for specific time we will be servant of Lord Krishna, then we will not be a servant of Lord Krishna. No, we are servant of Krishna from eternal time. So here Krishna is telling that they are struggling very hard with their senses. Why? Due to this conditioned life. This is so true. You will see one is struggling from his senses only. That's why, always he is struggling every time, especially with his mind. Right now, in Hindi session, we are discussing a book called Perfection of Yoga. Perfection of Yoga, one of the Srila Prabhupada's book. So in that, Arjuna is saying that this mind is very much monkey. It is never stable. And this is so true. You will see our mind is so much monkey, unstable. Our mind is mad. And it is very strong at the same time. Strong means, it just want to preach us. It just want us, ourselves, to follow himself. Our mind wants us to follow himself, itself. Means that mind wants that we always follow him. That's why you see people often say, our mind is not telling us to chant Hare Krishna right now. This is not the right time. We will come to you when when my mind will tell me to chant Hare Krishna, when my mind will tell me to move on this path. Your mind will never tell you to, move on this path, to go ahead on this path. Your mind have been trained from eternal time to do things by putting Krishna aside. Is it not? It has been trained from eternal time. So now our mind has become habitual of not doing good things. Our mind always wants us to do bad things. Our mind will always preach us, always make excuses of not chanting, hearing classes, and other things. So basically, these are the dose. This is the dose. This is a dose. This is a medicine to cure this disease of doing things, putting Krishna aside. Which is the medicine? The mantra that we are chanting, classes we are hearing. This can only cure our mind. Our mind will never, that day will never come when your mind will tell you that, yeah, today is the day. You should definitely go and surrender to Krishna. Today is the day. Your mind will never tell you. So this is the only, solution. This is the only cure. This is the only way to cure our mind. The practices that we are doing every day. So yeah, the jivas or entities are now detached from the whole due to material contact. It is therefore unnecessary for us to strive to attach ourselves again through the latent Krishna consciousness that is within us. So see, it's not like that it is something new thing, which, which which have been told to us. It's not something that Srila Prabhupada ji is telling us something new thing. We have, due to this conditioned life, we ourselves has forgotten this thing. What? Our real identity. That we are fragmental part of Lord. So it is necessary for us to strive to attach ourselves again. Now see, this word have been used here again. Again means that we means it's not a new thing. Anything which have been told you, if someone is telling you to do anything, uh, that you do it again. Again means you have done it in your past. That's why you need to do it again. Is it not? So when Prabhupada ji is telling here that to attach ourselves again to the lenient Krishna consciousness, that is within us. So what does that mean? That we were already Krishna conscious. It's just due to this conditioning, we have forgotten our real identity. So that's why again. So we have always thought this, that we will stay happy without God. We will be happy by gratifying our senses. That's why he is here, means we are here. This is the only reason. We have been distracted completely by coming to this material world. Now, see, it's not like that earlier we were at the abode of Lord Krishna and we got distracted from there, then we have been here. No, it's not like this. We have been here from eternal time. From eternal time only, we were conditioned, we were assuming this thing that we will stay happy without Krishna, without Lord. And that's why you will see people who are not at all inclined towards their spiritual activities, they are so much into ignorant mode. Is it not? Because they have completely distracted. And see, there is no other way to, get them out from this mode of ignorance. Only Krishna consciousness can heal anyone from his sufferings. So even if someone is not, he's not convinced to chant Hare Krishna or hear scriptures, you can at least feed him some prasadam. So if we understand this with an example, you will see, if a car is moving on a road, if a car is moving on the road and there are two ways, suppose the driver, he has to go to the right direction. So there was a board, there are so many boards in mid. When we travel, we see so many boards, they guide us for the right direction. So suppose that board which was facing to right direction, it has now turned and now it is facing to wrong direction. Now he is guiding, now that board is guiding people to go on wrong direction. So what will happen? That driver now, he will, after watching that board, he will go on wrong direction. Now once he have gone to wrong direction, now he got to know, oh, I'm on the wrong direction. What will he do? For coming on to the right direction, he will have to turn his car back. Is it not? It's not like he will keep moving on the wrong direction and uh, uh, one time will come then when he will be on the right path automatically. No, it's not like that. He will himself have to turn back to the right direction to move on the right direction. So same what Prabhupada ji is telling here, that artificially we are trying to forget Krishna and live independently, but this is not possible. So we have been moved on to the wrong direction, and artificially we were pretending to be very over smart. Oh, it's okay, we are moving on to wrong direction, right direction will automatically come when right time will come. But this is not possible. So same here, one is, he's artificially trying to satisfy himself. He's trying to forget Krishna and he's trying to live independently, but it is not at all possible. When we strive to live independent of Krishna, we come under the influence of the laws of material nature. If one thinks he is independent of Krishna, he becomes dependent on the illusory energy of Krishna. So see, let's continue our that example. So yeah, for coming onto the right direction, he will have to turn his car. Same way, it is very much important for us that by Krishna consciousness, we come on the right path again. It has been always within our heart. Krishna consciousness is within us for always, but it has been slept. Now it's time to invoke it. And for to invoke it, we have to follow our spiritual activities every single day. So in next line, Prabhupada ji is telling that one is artificially trying to forget Krishna and he is trying to live independent. We are trying to forget Krishna and we are trying to satisfy ourselves. But this is not possible. Now let's understand this also with an example. You will see a fish. If you will, that fish who is in the water, if you will take out that fish and you will, instead of that water, you will put that fish in any other liquid. You will put that fish in a mango juice or any coconut curry, coconut chutney, or sambar, whatever. If you will put that fish in any other liquid, will she be happy? She will not even, live longer. She will be so much frustrated because that's not her constitutional position. She can't survive in any other liquid. She can only survive in the water. Same is our situation right now. Our real home is Krishna's abode. But we are suffering here. This material world is 𝗃𝗃𝗴𝗵𝗺. Miseries is to be given for always. And why so? Lord Krishna himself tells in Bhagavad Gita, 𝗃𝗃𝗴𝗵 ashashvatam. This material world is full of miseries. This is not eternal and this is a home of miseries. So you will see, even in a life of devotees, miseries come, problems will come. But It's not like, it's not like devotees' life. In devotees' life, there is no problem. Problems comes, but they don't get disturbed by these problems. Why? Because they are like, taste of bhakti is greater. So it never deflects them. So now you might be wondering that why sufferings have to come even in the life of devotees, so that one can understand that this is not our real home. Krishna wants us to, we just go back to him. Krishna is eager to call us back to him. So even you just suppose if a devotee is serving Krishna, he'll be so much. Of course, we feel a kind of satisfaction, but then also so many problems comes even in devotees' life. So devotees, they just keep reminding themselves that this material world is just a jail. We don't have to. There is no need to make any adjustment here. Just do your bhakti nicely and just go back to God. So this is very much important to understand. So if one thinks he is independent of Krishna, he becomes dependent on the illusory energy of Krishna. Just as if one thinks that he is independent of the government and its regulations, he becomes dependent on the police force. So this is really an interesting example, which we will discuss in our next class. We will stop here now. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada.